one of your city coordinators, along with Christy and Edna. Thank you for joining us at the Dallas Entrepreneur Center. We're here every Wednesday from 9 to 10 a.m. Just a little bit of background on 1 Million Cups. It's an educational program produced by the Kauffman Foundation to engage and connect local entrepreneurs while helping build startups on a grassroots level. We'll have 2 presenters today, and we'll each get 6 minutes to pitch, plus a 20-minute interactive Q&A. And please raise your hand if you have any questions, and Christy will come around with the mic. And we'd really like for you to use your outside speaking voice since we're filming today. And we cannot do this without our wonderful vendors and sponsors, so a big round of applause for Crew 2 for providing our treats every week. And Shade Tree Coffee Roasters for keeping us caffeinated. Accelerators for being our new sponsor, and we'd like to welcome Jonathan to come up and say a few words. So please stand up and welcome him.
Hi everyone, I'm Jonathan Fine. I'm the Director of Business Development for RevTech. RevTech, we are a venture fund and seed accelerator that focuses on product and tech innovation for the retail and restaurant industries. If you or somebody you know has a product, a technology, a business that can change and improve these industries, I would love to meet you. We have run a 14-week program from mid-June through mid-September in which we take between 5 and 7 teams and give them funding, office space, the means to launch their company and take it to the next level. We are currently accepting applicants. If you would like to learn more about the application or to apply, which is a pretty straightforward application, it's on our website, revtechaccelerator.com. And thanks to the deck and Million Cups for giving us this opportunity.
Yes, great. And in order to get started, we want to do another big stand-up round of applause and welcome Lance from LanguageMAPS. So everyone please welcome him. Thank you.
Morning everybody, it's great to be back. I was here last year presenting, and doing so helped our company get into a local accelerator program. So great to be here, good to see everybody. So my name's Lance Manning, and I'm the co-founder and CEO. Can you pull the of LanguageMAPS. In our company, we see a world of mobile connectedness where barriers to communication are no longer a problem. Our app, First Minute, turns your phone into a language translation device. Its purpose, to assist in a medical emergency. When first responders arrive at the scene of a 911 call, every second counts. How many of you have ever called 911 for a medical emergency for you or someone you know? You know how traumatic of an experience it can be. But what happens if the person they're helping speaks little to no English? That is the reality a lot here in America, and there are 30 million emergency medical situations that occur every year here in the U.S. And a growing percentage of them, the people, speak little to no English. The main way of solving this problem in the last 30 years has been to get a translator or an interpreter or call one. But paramedics nowadays, they don't like this option since it's slow, difficult to connect to, and it can be very expensive for the city or the department to pay for that service. So we've created the First Minute mobile app that helps first responders overcome the language barrier. How does it work? The responder shows the app on a phone or tablet to the patient and prompts them to pick their language, choose symptoms on a body map, and then add additional details in a checklist simplified format. And then they finally push the summary button, which translates it back to the language of the first responder. So there's no guessing as to what to do with this patient when they see them immediately. And in addition to this, well, let me show you something here. So when they see this or hear this, how long will it take to comprehend what's going on, and how will they help this person? So One thing that's happening in New York City right now, there are 450,000 non-English speaking Asians in the city. There are only 6 firefighters who are Asian speaking, and there are over 200 languages spoken in that city. So one of the fire departments has chosen to help them speak Chinese or Mandarin, and so they're teaching them. But you know, it's a big problem. It's not going away, and it's one we intend to solve. So our game plan is to sell the app to the 4 million first responders in the U.S., and then we will focus on other medical scenarios that have language barriers. But by far, our biggest market are going to be travelers and tourists. These are people going to different countries who may have a medical emergency. Currently, there are 1 billion international tourist arrivals around the world every year. 150 million of them have purchased traveler's insurance. So that is our way into that market. And if I show you this sign again, you have a medical scenario. Any medical people in the audience, you know what's happening to this person? What might be happening to this person? Maybe a heart attack, chest pain, jaw pain, yeah. So what they can do is they can use our app and then show it to an emergency room, a paramedic, or a pharmacy for immediate understanding of what's going on without having to wait. So what's the competition? The main company out there that does over-the-phone translation is LanguageLine, and we're not so concerned about them. We'll probably complement their solution since we help in the first 5 minutes, and then we can send off our information to them. There are other companies that do language translation. The ones that we're concerned about are Universal Doctor and Medibabble, but they haven't tapped into this traveler market, which helps justify why we're choosing to be a business and not just a mobile app that's out there. In addition, most of these apps are word or phrase related. So you say a word or you type a word in, it gives you something back. Our app has a checklist format, so you get more information. And this also helps when comparing with Google Translate. People say, well, it's already out there, you have all you need, but it's not designed for medical emergencies, and you have to bounce to the cloud 20 or 30 times to get the amount of information that we capture immediately. But in the next 5 years, there's a major language translation revolution going on, and the exactness will be improving. We're going to align ourselves with that by using Google Translate in our app, in case there are words or phrases that aren't in our workflow. And of course, this Microsoft situation with the Hitler-loving sex robot portraying the artificial intelligence, you know, that shows that we've got a long way to go to get the exact translation. So here's our business model. We'll sell our app for $2.99 to early adopters. These are EMS, first responders, and also travelers. But then we'll also be doing enterprise agreements with agencies and international sporting events who have paramedics who work those events. But of course, our biggest market are going after these travel insurance companies and the 150 million customers that they have. In the near term, we have found revenue possibilities in our partnerships on the hardware and software side. This company on the hardware side, they have devices that are out in the field. There's 1 million of them. They want to sell our app through their global sales force. So that's a very good thing for us now. There's a software company that does 911 computer-aided dispatch, and they want us to build our app so that it talks to the 911 dispatch person who's taking in information. So it's a very great opportunity. We're also talking with a public safety company that owns 80% of the market share for hardware and software. So as we hit the primary, secondary, and future markets, we have some goals for our downloads, and we also have some projections with our revenue. And the revenue mainly comes from our enterprise agreements versus just the downloads. So I'm going to skip through a couple of these here. We have some pretty good traction with the downloads. We're doing some experiments to test some of our hypotheses. In terms of market trends, I'm just going to point out this one for now, which is the Apple Care Kit. Apple wants you to begin practicing mobile health care on your cell phone. We're going to take your information from the Apple Care Kit translated to all of our languages. So if you're in another country, you can use that medical history and any symptoms to talk to someone who might help you. This is the next generation 911 connection we have. I'll just point out that our app is going to talk to the dispatch. We will prepare to talk with the interpreters who may call in the next 5 minutes. And we're also doing a beta test with FirstNet Colorado next month on 150 devices. I'm going to skip some of these here, and I'm going to mention this. Anyone CPR certified in the audience? A couple people. PulsePoint is a company that connects the CPR certified to AED device and someone who's having a heart attack. We're going to do the same thing, certifying bilingual first responders. I think my time is up, so I'm going to just go to this slide here and say we're pressing forward with revenue opportunities. We're keeping an eye on Google and Health and Apple to align ourselves with them in the future. So with that, I'll end and take questions. Thank you very much.
We're going to open up the floor for a 20-minute Q&A. Please raise your hand, tall and high, for questions, and I will bring you the microphone. Let's start over here.
Is your app dependent on the internet, or if a first responder gets on site, they don't have access to 4G or Wi-Fi or whatever, will they still be able to use it?
Yeah, our app does not require an internet connection. All the triage questions and answers are pre-translated by humans for rapid, repeated on-device use. If we do have an internet connection, we can use Google Translate though.
Lance, hi. Love the application name. I know as a former EMT and firefighter myself that the first few minutes that you encounter a patient in the field are the most critical as you're triaging before you can get them to the hospital. So I appreciate what you've built here. He actually stole my question, so I'm going to ask a different one. Talk a little bit about other opportunities outside of the first responder and EMS firefighter field. You mentioned about travel agencies and others. Can you talk a little bit more about where this technology could be applied?
So we have some non-emergency market opportunities. We're talking with a home healthcare CEO who wants us to assist with a certain checklist that's being created to interface with post-acute care patients. So instead of just focusing on that first minute, we can create an API that covers multiple questionnaires for other scenarios. And I'll go to another page here. A future plan for our company is to create an API that allows us to apply it to multiple language barrier scenarios. So for instance, if you want to create an app for talking to a contractor or for jails or other scenarios, you come up with the questions, we plug it into our workflow, and within an hour you have an app that you can use for that specific situation.
Okay.
Yep.
Lance, you were here about a year ago. Tell us a little bit about what has changed since that pitch and what else you have in mind for the future. Thank you.
Let's see, that pitch was very ad hoc and not that good, but our initial idea was we're just going to provide this app for firefighters and EMS. And it was a very small market, 1 million, 4 million. When we were in the Tech Wildcatters program this summer, we got some really good ideas and feedback about the applicability of the app to other areas. So we've added some advisors in software, the travel industry, first response, and also public safety. So they're helping us scale the business to other areas. We also patent the app. Who patents an app these days? We thought it was a crazy idea, but we decided to because we have these other scenarios that we want to protect or markets to go into. And so we did a US provisional and also an international patent application. but yeah, we've come a long ways, and we're serious about this business. So it's been a fun ride.
Any other questions? Over here.
When did you upload the app to the App Store, and which app stores, is it in, and how many downloads do you have?
Yeah. In July, we uploaded to the Google Play Android store, and then September we're on iOS. We have about 500 downloads, and it's mainly early adopter EMS folks. So very small for now, but we're finding our biggest revenue potential on the enterprise side.
When did you first upload it? When did you start this?
Started the company.
Well, when did you first upload your finished app to Android store?
I think it was July of last year.
Of last year.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the revenue generation. What are your strategies and methods for scaling?
Yeah, so, I'm offering it on the App Store. We're going to do some marketing to those markets, the travel market, the EMS market. Anytime we've published something on Facebook or Twitter, done some, we have a spike in downloads. But on a larger scale, with the travel insurance companies, with these partnerships, actually, let me go to the last slide here. So we have the opportunity to do an integration with a company, the computer-aided dispatch. So there's some revenue there on the top line. Doing a deal with a travel insurance company. One company has 13 million customers. So if we charge $1 per app, there's some revenue there. But yeah, we're looking at scaling this, and we have a projection of 3 years at about 20 million. That's multiple deals. Question? Yes.
Yes, sir. Good job. With this app, you had a couple hundred downloads, which is awesome. Great job, by the way. How many emergency situations have you guys participated in based on those downloads?
So we have 4 departments that are currently testing out the app. 150 first responders. So we probably have, I'd say, about 5 situations. Not a whole lot, but enough to get some information back and talk with these people and get a good sense of feedback, on our experiments here. We're not 100% sure that the current version of the app is the way it's going to be in the future. So we're trying to get that information from first responders.
So 5 emergency situations that you guys have participated in helping?
Well, we have users who have interfaced with patients.
Okay.
So, we're in that point where we're trying to collect some of those stories and get some feedback on what went well, what can we improve on. That we can show that in the next pitch. Yeah, thanks.
Have you gotten any of that feedback yet? And if so,
Yeah.
And if so, could you tell us a little bit about the interaction and what they said about that interaction?
There's some feedback on the user experience, some of the workflow. Someone said it would be nice to have kind of a how this app works intro at the beginning of the app. So we're building in a bit of a walkthrough.
No, where did the responder was in? When the responder was at the patient side, did you get any feedback on how that interaction worked and what they said about it?
We have a couple points of feedback. I think the one that probably comes to mind right now is some difficulty with all the languages. Currently, we only have 10. We have plans to get to 50. So we want to make sure we have more than just Spanish or Chinese.
Any other questions? Yes, in the back.
On the travel insurance companies, can you just tell us a little bit more how, what the value proposition is to them and how they actually get it to the consumer and why the consumer pays for it?
Yeah, so our pitch to the travel insurance companies is one in which we want to help them improve the safety and policyholder value when they're selling the idea. Of course, we want to tell them it improves the perception of their brand. But more than that, if there is an emergency situation and that person is assisted, then hopefully the medical costs can be decreased, risk can be decreased, and that's a big deal for the travel insurance, their bottom line, because they're a cash cow. They bring in money, they don't spend out a lot, and it's a $1 billion industry.
Any other questions? Raise your hand high.
Do you do everything to English, or can I go, say, French to Chinese?
Yes. Yeah, we can do multiple languages. Whatever you choose, your baseline language, it'll go to that. So.
Kind of as a follow-on to that question, I would see great value in this as an individual if I'm traveling to a country in which I'm not proficient in the language, especially not in specific medical terms when I'm under duress. You may not remember, okay, how do I say this hurts en français? It may be very difficult. So I can see value to using this as an individual to buy the app, set the conversion protocol from my native tongue, English, to whatever country I'm in, French, Chinese, to use your example. How would I go about setting that up? Is that an easy process to go ahead and preemptively set the default languages? And then how do you reach me as a potential consumer to play off my fear of the unknown to get me to pay $2.99 to download your application?
Yeah. So great marketing question. Our app will eventually work like Uber. So you sign in either as a driver or as a rider. So either you're a first responder or you're a citizen. And the way it works is it'll upload your medical data preemptively if you're a citizen. And then if you have a situation, you can choose which country, or it'll know by GPS, and then you can use it that way. So your second question was, how do I market it, or?
Yeah, so how do you raise awareness to the individual? Because people by nature are fearful of the unknown, send them into a foreign country and bring in potential medical calamity. How do you get me fired up?
So, there are multiple pathways into the travel market. There's travel insurance, there's tourism companies, there's print tourism, there's travel bloggers. We have a whole game plan of how we're going to hit that market with $10,000 of marketing money per month. Yeah. But you're right about the bilingualness. People say, well, I'm fluent in this language, or I'm bilingual in Spanish, but they may not know the medical terminology. So we want to help those people who still, let's say if someone's a Spanish speaker here in the US, they may not know all the medical terms.
Any other questions? Oh, in the back.
So along the same lines, like you mentioned, a patient in duress trying to describe what's wrong with them. Is that text entry, or is there, for instance, a silhouette of a person and they can click different parts of the body and then have a selection of whether it hurts or itches?
Yeah, good question. So 80% of emergency medical situation people are alert and attentive. Some people, they're just knocked out, you can't communicate with them. So we made the app simple in terms of the user interface, where they pick the language, they can go through. If you click the chest or the head, there's some specific questions for each of those areas, and then there's some additional follow-on checklist questions. So you're not writing anything in. We do connect to Google Translate, so you may be able to tell a word or phrase, but it's ideally used so you can capture all the information, translate it. Someone sees it and says, oh, this person, they're having some stroke symptoms and not just a headache.
How did you choose what questions to include once you click on the body part?
We had some intensive discussions with first responder paramedics. There are protocols. We didn't follow exactly all the protocols because we wanted to keep it simple. If someone has something wrong with their hand or their foot, it's not super life-threatening. So yeah, we talked to some experts.
All right, we've got one final question. What can the community do for you?
Wow, I haven't thought of that one. Well, you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Get the word out. If you know people in the first responder community, let them know about our app. We're doing beta tests for fire departments. So, or if you have any good ideas, love to hear them. We're definitely open to that. So. Oh, download the app. There you go. That's a great idea. Who thought of that? Yeah.
Perfect. One more round of applause for Lance.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. All right, and just a quick reminder, we're very active on social media, so we invite you to join the conversation. We've included some of the Twitter handles right here, including for our presenters. So please tune in on hashtag 1MCDAL, and please chat with us. And we'd really like to welcome our next presenter, Ryan of LocalEyes. So everyone please stand up and another round of applause. Welcome him to the stage.
Good morning. My name is Ryan Opal. I'm with LocalEyes by Light and Var. I first want to start off by thanking 1 Million Cups for having me out to present today. I want to thank the DEC for hosting this event, for creating this common workspace that cultivates kind of what is a really neat community. And then I want to thank each and every one of y'all for showing up today and giving me a few minutes of your time. A very quick background, and I swear this is purely coincidental. I'm a medevac helicopter pilot. I'm a Dallas native, and I've been flying helicopters for the last 10 years. That picture is taken on the rooftop helipad of Methodist Hospital downtown. It's where the helicopter that I fly is based out of. And I will talk a little bit about how my job actually played a role in the inception and the development of LocalEyes during the Q&A. But I want to move on and give you a quick overview and brief tutorial on how LocalEyes works. LocalEyes is currently available only on the iPhone. It went live on the App Store on January 26th. In essence, LocalEyes lets users ask a local. It's the product of my wife and I going on vacation last year to Breckenridge, Colorado. It's an area that neither one of us are really all that familiar with. We don't have any friends there. We don't have any Facebook connections there. And over the course of the week, I found myself getting frustrated with the limited information on Yelp, where reviews can be outdated, they can be biased. There's really no way to get follow-up feedback if you have a question. And then with traditional social media, I found that you have to have those connections in advance, and then you're dependent on those other users to be actively looking at the site or actively using the app in order to see if you posted a question or for you to get feedback. I realized that what I really wanted was just to be able to ask a local. I knew that someone there had the information I was looking for. I just didn't have a good way to find that person. I wanted real-time, live and interactive feedback or answers to questions that I had that went beyond just where's the best place to eat or where's the best shop. When users download the app, first thing they're going to do is create a basic profile. You're going to get a username, password, and you're going to provide an email for verification purposes. Once you've done that, it's going to show you this map. And what this map is asking you is, where do you consider yourself to be a local? In this example, I'm using the intersection of George Bush and the Tollway. I don't actually live underneath the overpass there. But that intersection represents kind of the center of what I consider to be my local area. I live within a mile of there. I grew up around there. I'm fairly familiar, and I know that area well enough to say, yeah, I can answer a question or give a recommendation about somewhere within a couple mile radius of that intersection. That location is saved to your user profile. You have the option later on to go on and change that under settings. If you move, if you decide you want to, another place better. But once you're done with that, you're going to, and I'm sorry for the resolution, but you're going to provide a little bit of information about yourself, and what that's asking is, what do you do? What are your favorite foods? What kind of activities are you interested in? What kind of hobbies do you have? This then is the home page. This is what you're going to see every time you open it up. It's going to show you your current location. In this example, we're centered here at the deck, and then down below under nearby locals, those are the users who have identified their local area to be closest to your current location. They will end up being the recipients of the question that you post. If you want to search somewhere besides your current location, let's say we're going to Fort Worth later on tonight, maybe this weekend, we want to get a little bit of information before we go. All you have to do is move the map over, press and hold to drop a pin, and then it re-queries the database for users that are closest to your new search location. You can further narrow down that recipient list. It has a maximum of 10. Let's say you want to narrow that down a little bit more. You go to the filters and you can search for users based on those occupations, food preferences, or activities. Once that recipient list is set, you then treat it just like you would a discussion post or a group email. You have a subject line to give your post a title, and then you type in your question and hit send. Those nearby locals that are listed below are then going to receive a push notification that says, hey, someone has asked a question in your local area. Those users are going to go to their mailbox. They're going to be able to view and manage all of the messages that they've sent on top, and then down below the messages that they've received. They're going to select the message they want to respond to, and then just like a group text or a discussion board, all of the responses are listed right there below the question. That is the basic functionality of the app. I wanted to create something that provided users direct access to the locals in an area who were best suited to provide the information you're looking for. I'm not necessarily interested in following someone and creating a new Facebook friend to find out what they eat next week or who they're dating next year. I just want to answer to the question that I have, and it may have something to do other than where to go eat and where to go shop. Before I run out of time, I want to thank 1 Million Cups again. I want to thank all of y'all again. My name is Ryan Opal. The app is localized by Light and Variable. I'm happy to answer all of the questions that you have, and if you need any help, here are some of the frequently asked questions that I commonly get regarding LocalEyes.
Awesome, round of applause for Ryan. Let's start with the Q&A.
Great presentation. Do you have a rate per viewer, and when do you anticipate Android?
Yeah, so I've contemplated doing something like either a Reddit style upvote, downvote, or a karma point. I have not actually put that into the app yet. Everything that you see, all of the functionality currently on the app represents everything that I know how to do as a developer. I mentioned my job as a pilot would come into play here a little bit. There's no coding requirement to get your pilot's license. When I had this idea on vacation last year, all of my coding experience consisted of 1 semester in high school and then a business information systems class in college 10 years ago. But I'm much like a fireman. I'm on shift 12 hours at a time. There's a lot of downtime if we're not flying. So I took an online class and just kind of created this as I went, sort of as a fun side project, and then also just to see, hey, can I create this? Long answer to a short question. That's a functionality I would like to add. I just got to figure out how to do it.
Round of applause for being self-taught.
Yes, Android is something I would like to get into. I had to pick one or the other to start with. I picked iPhone because that's what I have. I have a Mac computer. And that's part of why I'm here today. I am looking for help now. This has been a one-man project this whole time. So I'm at the point where I need to make a decision. Do I get some help, expand it onto Android and other platforms? But that's going to cost money, and that's something that's part of why I'm here. I'm hoping there's someone here that has some Android development experience or knows someone who does that can get me in contact, and I can start that conversation.
So you mentioned the push notification. Does the user have to have the application on, or are there other ways to notify them? And also, just to follow up on one of yours that's already up there, how do you plan to monetize it?
First question regarding push notifications. The app is not dependent on push notifications being selected by the user. It obviously helps with the timeliness and responses. If you send a question and you're wanting to get feedback quickly, the push notifications let the recipients know that someone's asked a question, just like a text message would, so that you can get timely feedback. It's not necessary for the operation of the app, but it does increase the functionality of it. Monetization. Right now, I'm just focusing on growing the user base. The app is free. There is no advertising on it. But ultimately, once the user base is large enough, traditional advertising is the obvious answer there. The local businesses would have a vested interest in knowing if someone's looking for a Mexican food restaurant in their area. They could respond in live time and say, yep, we have happy hour today at 4 to 6. Come in and get 10% off your appetizer, and our margaritas are excellent. Also on the business side, there could be free general users and then charge the businesses a subscription fee. And then under that recipient list that I showed, it would essentially delineate, here are your locals, and then here are your local small businesses that could potentially be recipients to your question.
Question back here.
Is this currently US based, and do you have any plans to go international? So kind of piggybacking off of the previous presentation, if you and your wife go to Paris, is there a translation feature to connect with the locals there?
Absolutely, that's a functionality that I would love to add. There's no inherent reason why this would have to be limited to US. I've had some downloads internationally, but again, it's kind of beyond my area of knowledge so far as how to integrate the international users. So, quick side note on that, when I sent this into Apple for review, everything I heard was they're very, very picky, expect to be rejected. So there was a lot of that functionality that I hadn't really learned yet. And then I got caught with my pants down when they approved it, and I was like, well, I guess I got to do something with this now. So a lot of those things are a learning work in progress as I go, but certainly would not want to limit it just to the US.
Got a question back here.
So I wondered, how many active users do you have currently? And can you talk a little bit about your marketing ideas or strategy for getting new users?
Sure. In the first 2 months, I'm up to, as of a couple days ago, I think it was 188 registered usernames. The marketing strategy that I've used also kind of plays into my job. Throughout the 10 years that I've been flying medevac helicopters, I've worked with a lot of firemen, a lot of paramedics, and a lot of police officers. These people are an encyclopedia of local knowledge. If you want to know the best hole in a wall, go to the fire station and talk to the guys there. They know it. They know all of them. So my first thought was, well, I could, as part of this community, I can spread the word. A, it's part of the family that I've been a part of for the last 10 years. And B, it's a pretty close-knit community. So I've kind of spread the word through my current connections in the first responder community. And then beyond that, I'm looking at traditional social media, possibly going into paid advertisements, but again, that's another thing that costs money. And at this point, this has all been on my own personal dollar. So.
Question in the back.
So you had these previous conversations or answers to questions that people have asked in the past, and you're mostly focusing on real-time answers. Do you have any plans to harness the power of all this information from past conversations to maybe provide a recommended set of answers to somebody asking? Maybe they'll get an answer immediately, and then people will start responding with the real-time ones shortly thereafter?
Yeah, some of the examples of when I wanted to use this are kind of time dependent. When we were in Breckenridge, I wanted to know, where is the current snow line on this trail? Is this going to be a good hike, or should we choose another trail? That's kind of real time dependent. But yeah, I would love to incorporate essentially a searchable archive so that when you ask a question, it knows where you're asking the question. The database has all that information, and it would simply just be a matter of adding that a second window page or a tab that would allow you to search similar questions, or if you've used a filter, search for questions that have also used that filter in that same area. That's definitely something that I'm looking at adding on as soon as I figure out how to do it.
Any other questions? Raise your hand high. Awesome. We also do allow for feedback if you have feedback you'd like to give. Well, there are 2 other startups in the Dallas community that have a similar concept. You might want to look them up. One is called Knocker, they presented last week, and another one is called Guider, and it has a similar concept. They've got travel bloggers and people with influence online creating guides for their local communities.
Yeah, I was sad to miss last week with Knocker, but very similar. But again, the main thing I wanted to focus on here was not necessarily looking to connect and follow people here on out. If I'm just visiting an area once and I have a question, I'm looking for that real-time information, just like if you were going to walk into a visitor center and ask the person behind the desk there, or kind of recreate that conversation you have with the bartender. Hey, we've been here for the last week, we did this and that, and they say, well, if you like this and that, you should go here, and just connecting those people with the locals in the area.
Right on. Oh, we got another question. Awesome.
So you just brought up an interesting point with the visitor center. From an enterprise standpoint, you may be able to target visitor centers, tourism boards for different cities to charge them a premium access to provide information on their city, on their communities that may be more in total, that isn't quite so narrow in the geography, because if you're going to Breckenridge, I may not be able to pick out on a map of Breckenridge where my hotel or condo is going to be. I may just be interested in the area. So that may be a way to add an additional element of monetization beyond just paid advertisement and focus, but get on the focus on those that have a vested interest in tourists having a positive experience when they come.
Yeah, I actually did blindly email every state department of tourism. Again, I'm not a very good I'm not a marketer. I'm a pilot by training, so a lot of this is new to me. I'm learning as I go, but that is definitely something I considered. And I sent out those emails, and of all 52 that I sent, North Carolina responded and said, hey, we're going to check this out personally. We can't endorse it as a state department, but we are going to check it out personally, and we're asking for follow-up. So props to North Carolina.
Yeah, great job learning all this stuff and devoting your energy to that. To build on Jonathan's idea, you can reach out to bloggers or people who have an influence in an area. Maybe they have affiliate relationships, etc. But you know, that might be a premium service. So for free, people could have that kind of viral growth of being able to ask locals. But if you want like that private tour guide to be able to ask them anywhere in an area, that tour guide might pay a subscription fee to have access to that kind of customer base, because then they can send them to their audience.
Yeah, that's a great point, and especially in an area like Breckenridge, where you have the private ski instructors or hiking tours. Absolutely, that they have a vested interest in getting direct contact with people who are looking for their services.
Hey, good presentation, great feedback. Also, I'm going to offer some feedback as well. You mentioned, are you working with your wife, or does she have some a role in the company?
No, the only role she played is that she uses Yelp a lot, and we sit there and she'll tell me, hey, this place has this many reviews and this many stars, and it never really seems to help us make a decision. So that's the role that she played, because we were driving around, and I was getting frustrated with her telling me how many reviews every place had, and we weren't making a decision. I was like, I just want to ask a local.
All right. So my feedback would be that you should start thinking about putting a team together. Be it colleagues, volunteers. I mean, this is a great place to find, to start building a team, because nothing of greatness ever happens without a team, right? So the gaps that you have in your understanding and skills, that's what you ought to be looking for. Find one other person or a few other people. Start building a team of skills that can help you get to the next stage.
Absolutely, and that's why I'm here today. I showed up a couple weeks ago for my first 1 million cups on the recommendation of a neighbor who was familiar with the deck. I saw this community and I said, if anyone's going to know the connections and know the people that are involved in this business and can help me out, these are the people I need to go to. Because I've reached the limitations of what I can do on my own, and if I don't get that help, I get to shelve the project and say, hey, that was fun, I learned something new, and then go on with flying.
Here's a comical thought. You came up with the idea of wanting to know where the fresh pow stashes are. The funny thing is, locals will never share that with you.
You're right, and there is something to be said for locals protecting that local knowledge, and there's no way around that. That's where the traditional social media would kind of help and supplement. Once you make those connections, then you kind of get in So yeah, there's some local information that will always remain local, and I'm not trying to break into that.
Another thing to consider, there are some coding boot camps that have come to town. Dev Mountain is one of them. They're out of Fort Worth, I think, currently. You might be able to do a side project with some of their students.
Yeah, I found that I really actually enjoy the coding. It's not something that I expected to enjoy, and I certainly didn't enjoy it all of the time. I wanted to throw my laptop out the window multiple times a day. I've cried multiple times a day, but I really have enjoyed it. And I plan to continue doing some of it myself, but at the same time, yes, I am looking for professional help to kind of take what is essentially a working prototype, put some lipstick on it, and make it a little more professional, a little more streamlined. So yes, I'm definitely interested in following up on that.
Right on. Any last minute commentary to add? Okay, our last question. What can the community do for you?
Y'all have done it. You've provided great feedback, asked great questions, and really all I'm looking for at this point is help growing the user base, growing the exposure. 200 users is great, but when 90% of them are in the North Texas area, that doesn't help users when they get out of the North Texas area. So I'm looking for exposure, new users, and the feedback that y'all provided is invaluable, so thank you.
Round of applause for Ryan.
Thank you. And we had the pleasure of meeting Ryan a couple weeks ago, and this just proves how wonderful this community is and how connected. And so we can't thank you enough for always being here and bringing friends and colleagues. It's very, very valuable to us. And the process is easy to apply, so if you are interested or know someone else who is interested, please visit the website, which we have right here, 1millioncups.com/Dallas. And then, or you can email us directly at dallas@1millioncups.com, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you have, especially if you're interested in sponsoring 1 Million Cups. And just to kind of round out the program, we'd like to invite Louis of Shade Tree Coffee Roasters to come up and speak. And please stand up and give him a round of applause.
Yes, I'm Louis Colton. I'm with Shade Tree Coffee Roast. I'm in the North Dallas area. I actually live in Cobell. I brought Ralph on to help me. Like I say, you got to have a team. So Ralph's the first one I brought on. His wife and I started Shade Tree Coffee Roasters. I've been in the contracting business, mechanical plumbing side I've been in the mechanical plumbing side for about 40 years. So I've done a lot of work downtown. Spent my life working downtown and in Park Cities areas, buildings just like this. So I was looking for something else. You do something 40 years, it's time to do something else, good Lord, especially on the contracting side. So visiting countries in the South, wherever you visit, you drink the coffee down there, and you're like, my God, this coffee's good. And you come back up here, and you're like, what's wrong with the coffee? So I started getting green beans from different countries and roasting them myself at the house, and realized I really liked the coffee. All my friends liked the coffee, so I went ahead and bought a large roaster and moved into a facility, started roasting coffee. I'm in the process of distributing the coffee and trying to pick up sales along the way. We have a website, Shade Tree Coffee Roast. Go on the website and order coffee. I'm in a few coffee houses and a few mobile coffee services, so I'm just trying to move the coffee. Let's see, almost all of our coffee is free trade coffee. We try to focus on free trade and organic coffee. Most of the small farmers, we have people, importers, that visit the world, search out little small farmers. When you go to a small farm and you sample all the coffee in a particular area, it's usually way up on a mountain. The only way to get there is with mules to even get there. You sample a coffee and you find a particular farmer, the coffee is like really amazing. You know, wow, this coffee is really good. We'd like to offer you a deal, the farmer. Your coffee is going to be free trade. They don't even know what free trade is. Never even heard of free trade. They have no idea. You're taking your beans with all the farmers around you to town, dumping them in a pile with everybody else. You can get 20 cents a pound for all your coffee beans. That's generally what they get paid. They don't know. They've been doing it for years. It's been in the family, and they don't know. But you find that particular farmer, their beans are exceptional. So what you do, you have an agreement with them. I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to buy 10,000 pounds of your beans every year, and I'm going to give you $1 a pound for your beans. The farmer's like, what? They said, we get 20 cents a pound for our beans, no matter where they're at. If you want to pay me $1 a pound, well, their beans are exceptional. So what you do is you pay $1 a pound for the beans, and you got an agreement you're going to get 10,000 pounds a year of their beans. So you get really good beans. What happens, all the other farmers, they start looking and say, what are you doing to your trees? What are you doing? How do you get $1 a pound? They start doing the same thing with their coffee trees. They never were taught, they never learned how to take care of their coffee trees. No one ever really taught them, they didn't know. But importers know what you need to do with your coffee trees to get really good coffee. So in return, since they're making $1 a pound, they're able to send their kids to school. Usually their kids are helping them pick the coffee, okay, and harvest the coffee. So the kids really don't go to school and get an education. So since they're getting paid more, they're able to hire their neighbor next door to help them work on the coffee trees, and then they can send their kids to school. So that's another reason why we do free trade coffee. They're able to pay them more, so it helps the whole area, all the farmers in the area. They start looking and they start taking care of their trees, and eventually they make more money for their coffee. They improve the quality of their coffee. So it actually improves the whole area, particular area. So that's one reason why we love importers, like using importers, and we focus on the fair trade in organic. But I can probably take a question, but we'll take most of our questions over there at the table, so we don't take up any more of your time. I have a few bags for sale if anyone's interested in coffee. 2 weeks ago we had the Burundi as a prime example of the fair trade. They were making 20 cents a pound for their beans, now we're paying them $1 a pound for their beans. And in Burundi, 80 cents a pound for a bean is an enormous amount of money difference for them. So they're able to, we're building a school in that area now for everybody, because they didn't have a school. So that's helping do that and pave some roads. Last week we had the Costa Rican, that's a really good coffee. And this week we're having an organic Guatemala Autóctono, which is a really good coffee, and it's an organic coffee. And it's a small farmer also. So that's what we've had available these last 3 weeks. So that's pretty much it. Thank you.
Thank you. I know where I'm going after this. Definitely have some more coffee. But yes, we can't thank you enough for joining us this morning, and we invite you to stay in network, and also find Emmanuel in the back. He's going to raise his hand. There we go. He'll help you with a fun, interactive tour. Free. Yes, yeah, of the deck. So that way, if you haven't been here before, you can check it out and ask him any questions. But thank you again, and we'll see you next week.